Hello and welcome to the Sex Within Marriage podcast. My name is JD and I blog over at uncoveringintimacy.com. And today we're going to talk about the question that many wives ask, which is, why do I always have to tell my husband how to help me? Before we get into that, I want to let you know, in case you aren't on our mailing list or didn't see it on social media, we're selling our Intimacy Advent Calendar again this year. And the Advent season starts tomorrow. So if you ever wish that there was something like an Advent calendar that the kids get with chocolates or toys in them, but a bit more adult, this is it. It's designed to help boost intimacy during a time of year that's often fairly stressful by giving the adult something to look forward to each day as well. It comes in 3 versions: romantic, sexy, and black label for my more adventurous listeners. And alternatively, you can follow us on Instagram, where I'll be posting 1 card a day for the next 24 days leading up to Christmas. The link in our Instagram page is in the episode notes, or you can just search for Uncovering Intimacy. But if you're looking for a gift for your spouse to help boost your marriage during this season, go check it out, read the reviews, see what other people have to say for it, and then decide for yourself whether you want it. As well, any new supporters this month, or I'll even accept them December 1st. If you become a $5 a month or more supporter, then I will send it to you for free. All right, now back to the topic at hand. So lately I've noticed a trend on social media where famous creator couples make videos of the wife telling the husband that, visitors are coming and they need to prepare. And in response, the husband goes and starts cleaning out the attic and the crawl space, or going through keepsakes and performing other tasks that have little value to trying to achieve the intended goal of getting ready for guests. And of course, they're doing it as a lighthearted joke, but it points to a common conflict in marriages that women often feel that they have to ask for the same help repeatedly. Even in the non-hyperbole versions of these videos, the husband typically is mowing the lawn or cleaning the driveway or fixes issues in the front of the house, such as rewiring a light. And in contrast, the wife is worrying about cleaning the house's interior and preparing food. And invariably, the wife gets upset that he's not helping with what she sees as important tasks. And in media, be it TV, movies, or on social media, they all generally side with the wife in these situations. The joking videos mentioned above always point and laugh at the men. And why is this? Is it just that men are inept, or are they blind or inconsiderate? And I have some ideas about why this happens, and you're welcome to agree or disagree with me in the comments on the blog if you want to go check it out. The link to it will be in the show notes. So the first reason is that men aren't mind readers. Women aren't either, but men are generally expected to be for some reason, whereas women are not. I think one of the reasons for that is that men to be more direct in their communication, whereas women tend to be more subtle. As a result, women tend to grow up understanding more nuances of nonverbal communication and spending a lot more time listening to what isn't being said. Men, on the other hand, tend to think that if you didn't say it, then it wasn't important. And so men tend to get more frustrated with their wives when they don't tell them precisely what they're thinking, and women tend to get more frustrated when their husbands can't seem to figure it out without it being said. Secondly, I think many wives want their husbands to lead. And this is an unpopular thing to say these days, but many wives, they seem to want their husband to lead, and asking them to do something feels like leading instead of following. I think this is a misunderstanding of what leadership is. Leadership is not about being able to see everything and make decisions in a vacuum and then head off doing it all yourself while your wife does the same thing and then hopes you both saw the same tasks that needed to be done and made the same decisions and then executed the exact same action list. Leadership is about having a team and relying on that team to inform you of what you cannot see and then executing more than you could as individuals. The job of a leader is to choose the direction and then figure out the best way to complete whatever task needs to be accomplished. That is leadership. Asking your husband to see what you see, think as you do, and then do it in the way that you would is not asking him to lead. It's asking him to be a servant who can read your mind, which is precisely the opposite of what you're claiming to want with this argument. If you want him to lead, then give him the information he needs to make an informed decision, talk about it, and then let him decide. And then don't get upset with what he decides. Third, we have different priorities. In many houses, household chores tend to get divided between inside and outside. The wives often focus on what's inside the house, and the husbands tend to focus on what's outside, with addition to any home maintenance inside. As such, in the examples above, we may prioritize things different when visitors come over. While the wife might focus on the house's hospitality, how clean it is, that there's food, etc., men might focus on safety, like the lights working so that you can see the step, or the driveway being clear so they have a place to park. He may also be concerned about how the things he considers himself responsible for to look. So the grass being mowed, or the driveway washed, or the gutters cleared, because those things reflect poorly on him if they're not done. And likely, if he goes to someone else's house, he may not notice laundry not being put away or the table being wiped, but he'll notice the light that's burnt out and the step that's not secure. We see the world differently, and we shouldn't expect others to see them the way that we do. Fourthly, our definitions of done are not the same. Even if we both see that something is a priority, what constitutes accomplishing the task might look different to each spouse. Men tend to care a lot less about cleanliness than women. I worked for a summer for my father-in-law, and he recycles tires for a living. So I spent the summer absolutely filthy. Now, one day while taking a break for lunch, we were making sandwiches, and I asked if there was a clean knife for the mayo. My father-in-law grabbed the knife from the butter, wiped it on his shirt, which was covered in dirt, oil, rubber, and whatever else we picked up from being in a scrapyard that morning picking up tires, and then handed the knife to me. And you know what? I used it for the mayo because I was hungry, and I cared more about eating than I did about it being clean. So when I look around the house and think, yeah, it's clean, my wife can look at the same room at the same time and think, this room is disgusting, which always amazes me because she worked for her dad when she was younger as well. And I bet he pulled the same stunt on her, or maybe not. I later found out that he was quite a bit rougher on me. If you want that story, you'll have to come to a couple's night and ask. And fifthly, men tend not to ask for help. Frankly, most of us men grew up being taught not to expect to get help. We don't ask for it, and we don't expect it. Our job as men is to be self-sufficient. It's actually to be better than self-sufficient. We grow up expecting to handle our list and whatever our wife needs help with. In short, we do our homework and then help our wife with hers. And it seems many women expect the same. No one explicitly says it, but the wives tend to expect their husbands to help them with their list, while there's often little to no expectation that they will reciprocate. And I'm not making a value judgment here. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or fair or unfair, or that the lists are comparable or anything like that. All I'm saying is that both men and women tend to expect the men to complete their list independently, while the women expect to have help with theirs. So some examples of this are, like, cleaning the toilet is considered a shared responsibility, but problems with the septic tank, the fill valve on the toilet, or replacing the wax seal, that's probably his. Doing the laundry is a shared responsibility. Fixing the washing machine, or wiring a plug, or unclogging the drain, that's probably his. Doing the dishes, shared responsibility. Fishing the wedding ring out of the P-trap, probably his. Vacuuming the house is a shared responsibility. Fixing the outlet that the vacuum needs to plug into, probably his. And again, I'm not making any value judgments here, merely pointing out that when men think of the things that they need to be done around the house, we just do it ourselves, and we don't expect anyone to help. When women think of the things that need to be done around the house, they anticipate help and a communal sharing of the tasks and get frustrated when that doesn't materialize. And of course, these are gross generalizations, and I'm painting with a very broad brush, but it is what I see happen time and time again. And I see over and over again as well, specifically in the ADHD community, the idea of like body doubling. That is that women will call another woman so that they can do chores together while on the phone or over FaceTime, or they'll invite each other over in person and they'll do the chores together. And I see a lot of comments from other women who don't have ADHD saying, this is a great idea. I have never seen a man, even with ADHD, make a recommendation for body doubling, nor do I see men commenting in those videos wishing that they had someone over to do chores with. It just doesn't happen. Or if it does, it's so rarely, I have not seen it yet. But the point is that most women approach chores wanting partnership and collaboration, whereas men approach chores expecting to lone wolf it because no one is coming to help them. That was never promised, and so It's only expected, anticipated, or even thought of once we hit a problem where we literally cannot do it on our own because of some physical limitation. So what do we do about this? I think the first thing to realize is that we don't think alike. Genesis 1 verse 27 says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them." God created us to be different. As much as our society would like to have us believe that gender is just a construct, it's not. It was designed that way. We perceive the world differently. We think differently. We prioritize differently. We behave differently. We are not the same. This is not just ingrained in us, but rather it is programmed in us by our genetics. Our brains are structured differently. We run on different hormones and we process things differently at a physical level. We both have the same value, somehow simultaneously worthless, but also worth God dying for. But we are not equal. Second, even though we are married, that doesn't mean we can read each other's minds. Genesis 2 verse 24 says, "Therefore a man shall leave his mother and father and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." Notice that the two become one flesh, not one mind. It seems that even God thought this was too far a stretch. One flesh was enough for Paul to call it a mystery. One mind is just inconceivable. And then thirdly, communicate. If you expect something, make sure it's well known by everyone. Don't run around making covert contracts and then get upset because the other person didn't know that you had made a deal in your head and had an expectation that wasn't expressed. This goes the other way too. Don't assume that you know what your spouse means. If they ask for help, ask them what that help looks like, what the goal is, what does done look like to them. If your spouse comes to you and starts asking these questions, if you answer in a way that makes them feel stupid for asking, don't expect them to ask again. You may find yourself doing your tasks on your own. And husbands, your wife might want you to ask for help with some of your tasks. So invite her to help you fix the toilet, or fix the pump in the septic tank, or wire that 240 volt circuit. You may be shocked by how much fun it is to work together. And that's it for today. If you think differently, let me know in the comments on the post. I would love to know. If you agree, I would love to hear that too. And check out the Advent calendar if you're looking for something this Christmas season. And that's it for today. Talk to you next time.